I don't care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I don't want to insult your intelligence because you most likely already know what EM and ME stands for. But I should say that EK in this story stands for embarrassed kid and OG stands for old gentleman, a 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. People have pointed out I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact that it still did not spread into other tissue. Thus, it was still contained, which is what I thought the word meant. I apologize for my gaps in knowledge. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, or hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point, I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I didn't want to look like a skinhead. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like crap thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks, bro. 2 stops later, enter entitled mother, a lovely whale with an I demand a parley with the CEO haircut, and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, start looking for a free seat, spot me, and start marching. Or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is a conversation that followed. Hey, could you let my kid sit down? You mean me? Who else? Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital and... So are we. Nonsense, the stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital. My boy just broke his leg, and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. He's standing next to you completely fine, I said. Look here, boy, the entitled mother started. My kid deserves to sit down. Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital, and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. The entitled mother then straight up started yelling in my face. Stop making excuses and get off the freaking seat, you freaking skinhead piece of crap. At this point, I was completely baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight, and thankfully, I didn't fall off. Now enter the old gentleman, my savior. Will you shut the F up, you dumb cow? Who do you think you're talking to? The entitled mother asked. The old gentleman with an ice-cold voice replied, Stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that the dude has cancer. No, the entitled mother replied. He's just a freaking skinhead. He's got no eyebrows, you twit. Seems like that really offended the entitled mother because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch on the old gentleman's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted, and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. The old gentleman then said something unbelievable, and a golden, sweet karma moment followed. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. The old gentleman then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he took out his phone, called someone, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. The old gentleman was a bloody cop. At this point, the entitled mother was as white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for the entitled mother and her embarrassed child. Embarrassed kid told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. The old gentleman then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes. I took a statement and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, the entitled mother got some jail time. I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home, as I just got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post it here. He, as much as myself, also could not believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November, and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. I'm not crying, you're crying. Glad to hear you are well. I couldn't imagine having to decide between a wig and looking like a skinhead. Hair loss is not fun. My uncle had some disease where he lost half of his hair. But left to right, he looked like Ross with his spray tan. He ended up shaving his whole body for a while. I hope that whale learned a lesson. I actually couldn't comprehend how she came to the conclusion I was a skinhead when I was wearing a wig to cover my bald head. Sad to hear about your uncle. Hair loss is really bad. Thanks for all the positivity. This was quite a satisfying story. Glad that lady got what she deserved. Her poor kid, though. I can only imagine what it must be like to live with someone like her and to bully a clearly ill person. You don't do that and not expect some sort of retaliation from the heavens. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you like this video, please consider giving us a like and maybe subscribing to our channel. Thanks. Bye.